I made a mistake today by consenting to an open relationship. To put this into perspective, my girlfriend is 22 years old, and I am 21 years old. For the past 4.5 years, we have been dating. After college, like most high school sweethearts, we wanted to move out and start our own lives. We made the decision to open up our relationship and add some spice. In retrospect, she was somewhat adamant about the entire notion, even though it was essentially a shared choice. She calls me one evening while out with some friends to ask if I still think open relationships are cool. She explained that she was not working at the time and that she had met a 25-year-old man who requested me to cover the cost of a motel. I concurred. She follows my advice to go for it. She texts me to let me know that everything went fine and that she had a lovely night. The next week, she revealed that she would be seeing this guy once again. Although I didn't anticipate it, I'm okay with it. She wants me to cover their hotel expenses once more. I would live to regret that choice. She doesn't text me all night long. Strange, but all okay, perhaps she's just enjoying herself. I get a ton of mails the next day expressing her need for a vacation from everything at the moment. She seemed to have opened her eyes after meeting this person. We'll be done talking after a bit more. She cut me out of her life entirely. Of course, she is with him when I check her Snapchat story. Her pals have informed me that they are currently dating. What? And all of this was paid for by this guy? In particular, the way he wrote this feels almost apparent. In hindsight, it appeared that she was more adamant about the entire matter when he said that. That she was most likely already aware of this guy's interest in her. The man, 25. In order to determine whether she liked him or he liked her, she wanted to go through the entire procedure. Instead of ending things with this guy first. Merely to ensure that she would always have a safety net. However, based on how it was handled here by the OP, it may not have been the case. It seems like he is hinting at that. The strangest thing, though, is why she would demand that he cover all of it. She is with this 25-year-old man who, I suppose, does not want to be with her. She left him for a man who did not even have enough money to pay for a hotel, according to one of the most popular comments. Another person said, "No, no, no." She left him for a man she does not know who had a girlfriend. Why not his home? Thus, this is a rather bad circumstance. However, if you were in this terrible circumstance, tell me what you would do. I have always had a tense connection with my sister. Usually, I just attempt to keep the peace and let things go. Our sons are about the same age as each other. My son recently turned 11, and my nephew is 14. I got my son the new gaming system he had been eyeing for his birthday. He played it constantly and was ecstatic. My sister has poor financial management. Usually, I have to lend her money to pay my nephew's bills and other expenses. I am aware that my nephew does not always receive the most exquisite Christmas presents. I went a bit far this year and bought him the same game system for Christmas. It was already prepared and wrapped beneath my tree. My sister's family paid her a visit yesterday. If they could go play video games, my son asked me. Yes, I replied, reminding them to use caution. After about half an hour, my son rushes to me in tears. He brought me to the front hall when I asked him what was wrong. The new system is crushed on the floor when we reached the stairs. It was broken into bits after being tossed from the upstairs. My boy wailed and gestured to his cousin when I asked him what had happened. My nephew began to chuckle when I questioned him if he did this. He stated he's seen people breaking them online and that it was a dumb baby toy. I informed my sister what had happened when she came in. I clarified that her son needed to be chastised for his actions and that this was an expensive system. I informed her that I wanted her to cover the cost of her son's damage. No, she answered, laughing. I should not have let them play unattended, she says. That I am a poor parent and that it was my fault. That was not important, she added, my son will move on. It crushed my heart to see my son sitting on the floor, attempting to piece together his malfunctioning system. I approached the Christmas tree and took the system intended for my nephew. After removing the wrapping from the gift, I handed it to my son and instructed him to go upstairs and arrange it. When I already had another one, my sister questioned why I was making such a big deal out of it. Then, laughing, I informed her that it was her son's Christmas present and that they would undoubtedly not miss it because it was only a dumb baby toy and not a significant item. Then I instructed them to get out. After realizing what had transpired, my nephew started sobbing that my son had stolen his system. No, I replied. The one he smashed was his. I shall never see them again, my sister said angrily. I simply slammed the door after saying, okay. Now, I am constantly getting calls from other family members accusing me of being an NDH twist and ruining my nephew's Christmas. But I do not think so. The age of my nephew is 14. He knew what he was doing, and he is not a dumb child. That it was motivated by jealousy does not matter to me. He is mature enough to understand better. I did what I had to do because my sister was not going to make things right. They all believe that I ought to get him another new system, but I am short on funds. This is making me feel horrible, and I am wondering if this is a Night Diaries hub twist. The child is 14 years old, as she stated. He is not a newborn. He was quite aware of what he was doing, and if he was feeling jealous, that is not really the age at which you lose control of your jealousy and begin damaging other people's property. You are 13. You will be in high school soon. However, the way he responded, referring to the cousin and the cousin's mother, is really strange. The mom's response was even stranger, but I assume the cousin's defense mechanism of stating it is just a dumb baby toy stems from the fact that he truly wanted the item and that if he cannot have it, then no one else can. She wants to know why it was so big of a deal since she already had another one. Did she not watch her mother unwrap it and take it out from under the Christmas tree? She did not really have a reserve closet full of these items. It sounds like they may have had an odd relationship from the start. As she mentioned earlier in the essay, the cousin's mom's sister is horrible with money and occasionally lends her money, so perhaps the mother has some form of anger as well. Perhaps there was some strange hostility there before all of this even occurred, and this is just the culmination of it all. In fact, someone submitted a response that the OP can utilize, stating that it is conceivable your sister has lied to the wider family, so make sure you give them the whole truth in your answers. Not you, but your nephew's jealousy wrecked his own Christmas. Thus, this is their recommended course of action. What aspect of my nephew's willful destruction of my son's console, claiming to have seen it done online and disparaging the gaming system, do you think is acceptable? How do you think my sister's refusal to accept responsibility for the harm or to discipline her son is acceptable? My nephew purposefully broke one of the consoles I purchased, and I will not be purchasing a third. Feel free to purchase a console for my nephew yourself if you believe that kind of action merits praise. Mate, check. Tell me what you people think, then. What would you do if it were an NDH twist or not? For assisting my friend in getting a girl kicked off the soccer team, did Night Diaries hub twist? I am a 17-year-old girl, and I have a 16-year-old buddy named Luna. Because Luna is a Muslim and wears a headscarf to school, she frequently receives offensive remarks and looks. It is only cotton, and I have no idea why. In any case, this 16-year-old girl named Evelyn was the worst-case scenario. She approached Luna and me as we were eating lunch together and challenged her to remove her headscarf, teasing that she would look stunning without it. I once told her that she was simply ignorant and that I intended to educate her, therefore this was done maliciously. She then attempted to take off her hijab by force. We proceeded to the principal when I removed her hand. Evelyn made up a tale about how it would hurt her standing with a prominent soccer team she was a member of in order to avoid penalties. A few days ago, she posted a TikTok stating that she was sent into the principal's office for instructing the Muslim girl to remove her durag. I felt so angry for her. Luna wanted me to personally write the soccer organization because she is quite shy and did not want to come across as a buzzkill. I did, and she was promptly removed from the team. Her actions were also reported to other local groups. Her buddies are now DMing me to tell me how awful I am, how I am an NDH twist, how I should take a joke, etc. I believe I made the proper decision, but my parents believe I should have avoided it. The hub twist of Night Diaries. It seems odd that Evelyn would be so troubled by this that she would physically remove the hijab, or at least attempt to, and then, once she is out of trouble, she wants to brag about it by creating a TikTok. It is a really strange stance, and I am genuinely shocked that these organizations actually took an email from a different student seriously. However, in this instance, I suppose they simply believed her rather than attempting to seek a response from a higher authority, such as the principal or the school. The NDH twist in this case is actually the principal, as several people pointed out. Because athletics are more important, he shielded the bully rather than a student from a possible assault and hate crime. By the way, someone else mentioned that you can file a complaint with the school board on it. When my band director hurled a chair at the drumline in front of me, tenure was the only thing that kept him from being fired. He was persuaded to retire the next academic year. There was also considerable discussion over whether or not this was assault, and someone stated that it was assault and not possible assault. Many times, people are unaware that inappropriate touching, grabbing, slapping, pushing, shoving, etc., is illegal and constitutes assault. Simply put, Opie's high school principal refrained from supporting the bully. She was unable to assist Luna in understanding her rights as a victim, but schools frequently decide to ignore assault and similar incidents in order to keep the public from hearing about them. It is one way we produce more and worse bullies. What would you do, in light of what you have witnessed, if she was the NDH twist for doing this and being dismissed from the soccer team? Is my partner being made to do the dishes by Night Diaries hub twist? Lactose intolerance affects me. My partner always makes jokes about how I am disrespecting Mexican culture by not using cheese in my tacos whenever I make them. To make him feel better about my tacos, I have repeatedly told him that I will not give myself the runs. He is white, but he is not even Mexican. When we had tacos again yesterday night, this reached a breaking point. My taco appeared to have been tampered with when I returned from getting up to use the restroom. When I go to check, I discover cheese hidden beneath the other components. I went to bed after telling my lover that he was an angry NDH twist, leaving him to clean up after himself. He is whining because I had him do the dishes even though I usually do them, and I have not spoken to him since the morning. Hub for Night Diaries here, twist. It is always incomprehensible when someone will tamper with your food knowing that you cannot have a particular food in order to accomplish your goal. In this instance, to make a point, be humorous, or pull a practical joke. It is quite odd that people believe that is okay. Perhaps I caused her the runs in this instance, but in another instance, she might have had an allergic reaction and needed to be admitted to the hospital for whatever reason. Furthermore, a lot of people are pointing out that a strong cheese component is more Tex-Mex than a genuine Mexican component of the cuisine. Please let me know if it is accurate. However, some people said that cheese is not a real ingredient in authentic Mexican tacos. It is Tex-Mex to the core. I am Texan, someone else stated, but I had a beautiful Mexican woman come to my house and she wanted to make us traditional Mexican food, but she insisted on not having cheese. This man is acting like a huge NDH twist by attempting to dictate how someone else should prepare their food. Furthermore, cheese is more Tex-Mex, to reiterate. It makes sense that people would confuse Tex-Mex with Mexican cuisine, although they are two completely distinct things. Even in Texas, Mexican food is surprisingly difficult to find, despite its deliciousness. Did she force her boyfriend to do the dishes, or was she the NDH twist? And if someone were to put something in your food that you could not have, how would you respond? Twist from Night Diaries for inadvertently pointing out that a new coworker was lying about her language abilities. A 34-year-old woman named Violet began working at my place of employment last week. I am a woman of 26 years old. She made an immediate impression on the squad due to her loud and demanding demeanor. Violet and I were having coffee in the break room with two of my coworkers. When the topic of travel was brought up, we were the only people in the room and seated far apart. According to my coworker, she is no longer booking trips because they will most likely be cancelled due to the worldwide disease. Violet starts off by talking about how depressed she is about how frequently she travels and how her interest is taking these far-flung, exotic journeys to Europe. Cool, but when I think exotic, I think of the Bahamas or anything like that rather than Europe. Violet then makes a joke about how she is afraid she would lose some of her foreign language skills because of this no-travel situation. I inquire about the languages she can speak. French and Dutch were among the 3 European languages she claimed to speak fluently. Violet continued by stating that she was at the level of a native speaker and that people in Europe were constantly shocked to learn that she was not from the continent. Since I never get to speak Dutch here, I was thrilled. The 3 national languages of Belgium, where I was reared, are German, French, and Dutch, which are my mother tongues and the most widely spoken languages there. Being proficient in at least 2 of the 3 languages is rather typical in Belgium because students are expected to learn them in addition to English in school from an early age. I informed Violet, "Look at Dan Hebben, we are so adorable." This implies that we have something in common, which is awesome. After making this pouty look right away, she asked me whether that was meant to be Dutch. Yes, I replied. She chuckled uncomfortably and claimed that my awful accent and lack of proficiency in speaking it prevented her from understanding me. I do not have an accent, you see. I am more proficient in Dutch than English. I explained to Violet that I speak Dutch to my family all the time and that I grew up speaking it. She became irritated and inquired about my origins and the languages I speak. You mentioned that you know French, so I added that I am from Belgium and speak it as well. Great, we can talk in French instead. At that time, I realized she had most likely lied about speaking French as well, so I admitted that I was a bit of an NDH twist. Then she pushed her chair back, got up violently, shouted whatever she was saying, and walked away. It was uncomfortable. She should not have lied, my other coworkers murmured, shrugging their shoulders. She later came up to me, though, and said that I had embarrassed her by behaving arrogant about my European ancestry. I informed her that I could not possibly know she had made up her ability to speak those languages. She called me immature and rolled her eyes. A coworker informed me that Violet, who likes to harass new coworkers behind my back, had used a derogatory term against me. Although I do not believe I was a bully, I do not want this to become a major issue. Should I just say I am sorry to keep the peace? And hub twist from Night Diaries. Violet lied outright as a result. She probably would at least try to speak a little bit, pick out a few words, or encourage her to speak more slowly if she knew Dutch or French. However, she simply lost her temper and pushed her chair back, demonstrating that she was completely unaware of this. She simply picked 3 European languages at random and wished that no one in her life would ever speak them. She had no idea, however, that at her own job, she would run into someone who spoke 2 of those 3 languages. And since Violet is calling the OP a little b, she is being far more of a bully than the OP is if she is going around calling the OP that. A little b word who likes to make fun of new coworkers. She did not do anything wrong, thus I do not think there is anything for which she needs to apologize. She simply made an effort to communicate with her in the language she claimed to speak. In fact, many folks here are discussing elevating this to HR. She said, I am not sure about escalating this to HR, which a lot of people have told me I have to do, in response to many suggestions made by others. Since I am the youngest of my coworkers, I fear that this could give the impression that I am immature. And perhaps it does not have to go that far. It all rests on Violet's willingness to move on from this and act professionally. I do have witnesses who would be truthful about what transpired, if everything else fails. Therefore, if she tries to fabricate the story, I believe I might be exempt. What would you do, then, if this were to occur and someone spoke your native tongue? Is the OP the NDH twist for inadvertently exposing her colleague's deception regarding her linguistic proficiency?